What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Culture 316 podcast. I'm one of your hosts and producers, Jordan Nahisi.
Joined by your co-host Mo. What is up, people?
And thank you guys so much for tuning in. Also, thank you guys for tapping in with us during our 316 spaces over WrestleMania weekend. I was on for night one. Mo and I were on for night one. Mo was on for night two.
Yeah.
And we're going to be unpacking that. But per usual, if you guys are listening on Apple or Spotify podcast, be sure to subscribe, rate it a 5 stars. If you're listening or watching via YouTube, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Mo and I have already gotten started with this discussion, so we're not even going to really waste any time, and we're going to get right into it. All right, so on AEW Dynamite, All Elite Wrestling CEO and head of creative Tony Khan pulled the trigger and unveiled the CM Punk Jack Perry brawl from AEW's All In London pay-per-view back in 2023. This was in response to CM Punk and Ariel Helwani's MMA Hour interview where Punk spoke on the incident. Now, obviously, the footage was unveiled, or the footage was played on AEW Dynamite, and the internet blew up. There were a lot of mixed, I don't even want to say mixed reactions. Everything was kind of leaning towards Punk, with a couple of people sprinkled in there that were AEW fans and or people that were kind of, in favor of the Bucks, in favor of the Elite. But I want to get your take on the situation, Mo. What do you feel about this situation with the CM Punk Jack Berry brawl from AEW All in London?
Um. Well, first and foremost, using the phrase that Tony Khan pulled the trigger was a very interesting choice of words, because if he did pull the trigger, he most definitely aimed that gun at himself.
Yeah.
Because, sir, what was the point of this? What was the point of this? Because we already have a running gag on this show about how Tony Khan's obsessed with Punk, like an obsessive ex, a bad ex that won't stop blowing up your line with voicemails and voice notes and keeping just tabs on your ex. Like, focus on what you got over there. Move on, move on.
Right.
But they couldn't move on. As a matter of fact, they gave us a countdown, to the exact moment, because they were obsessed about what Punk had the right to talk about, his own experience before leaving, because of course we were going to ask him, what was it like being there? What was your final moments like on the way out? And Punk does what Punk does best, which is tell the truth. And that's exactly what was exhibited. The man came out, Jack pulled up, Jack couldn't back up his words. I watched the video 8 times because I wanted to be fair. I really wanted to be fair. I was really hoping he got at least some type of hit in. Maybe a little pop. Something. Something. But I think Punk got him sorry, excuse me. I think Punk got him like 3 times. 3 times. And I did not see not one hit from Jungle Boy. And it took like 2, 3 people to take down Punk. And I'm just thinking to myself, imagine running your mouth that badly, that much, and talking shit to the camera during your match, and you got all this balls, all this energy. You didn't get not one hit on this man. And all I could think about on Tony's end is, bro, you're a main star, left this company. All right, I get that. All right, you made the choice to get rid of him. At first I was on his side, kind of like, maybe they need some rules and regulations and all that stuff. But now I'm looking back at it and looking at this footage and just what has transpired over the course of these months. You were so bothered about him addressing the truth. He didn't say nothing wrong. He didn't make you look bad. All he did was just state what was right there. The person representing you and your company got his ass whooped. And Punk left and went on his merry way. And he's been fine. He's blown up since. He only talks about the subject when someone asks him, and that's about it. But you've been on it. And on top of that, your ratings are dwindling. You're dwindling so bad that I guess, like, out of like an egotistical reaction, he felt the need that, hey, like, I deserve a say here. I deserve a say here of what happened. I gotta tell them the truth. And it's like the truth. He was better just shutting the fuck up altogether. Let's start right there. He was better with shutting the fuck up altogether, just because just what I observed right there just showed me and confirmed with everybody else that's been saying that there is no order in the back. That's all I saw in that 1 minute and 23-second video.
Mm.
It was just chaos. They moved as if they could do whatever the hell they wanted to do, and I couldn't locate Tony in the video. If anyone located Tony in the video, please let me know where, because I'm still looking to see if he got shoved, quote unquote, or where his life was in danger. But there was absolutely no order. It just happened on spot. Samoa Joe had to step in like a bodyguard. He shouldn't have to do that. You should have definitely had people on site. These people should know how to regulate themselves and not want to get into fist fights. But it happened. Jungle Boy got his ass beat. And my thing is that you pushed this onto the show. What were you yielding out of this? Like, was this supposed to make you guys look like the good guys? Was this supposed to like make people double down on like you made the right decision because Punk doesn't know how to act? What were you trying to yield here? Because you have to think about it. We're wrestling fans. We're very violent. We're violent as they come. That's why we like this sport. Okay, we all have a weird, just a weird. I wouldn't say kink, but we get a weird high off of watching violence. Okay, we like watching wrestling. Yeah, it was choice. It was a choice to use that. Um, we get a high off of watching this type of stuff. We love watching it because it almost feels real. We
Yeah.
get like lost when we watch these matches, we watch these feuds, and like we get immersed. So to see like something that was an on-screen thing translate to real life, and someone stands on business, and he said, "I don't like you, you don't like me," you know, I'm gonna beat that ass, and they stand on that business. Yo, I wasn't supporting Punk like what 8 months ago when this happened, but he did exactly what he said he would do. You got a problem with me? Run up, and that's exactly what happened. He ran up, he got whoop 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 3 times, and that was it. And he still left with a W. Again, Tony, I asked, what did you want to get out of this? What do you expect Punk to do out of this? What do you expect the fans to do out of this? Did you think this made you guys look good? Did this make you think that you're going to grab any of the WWE fans? Were you looking just for a ratings pop because you guys aren't doing well? My thing is that what were you guys looking to do here? Is my question. I'm just very much confused. I'm not sure if you have an answer for this, Jordan. I'm pass it on to you.
I had to manually hold my microphone for this one.
Oh God, not detaching of the microphone.
So let's just put everything in perspective, right? Assaulting someone at a workplace is wrong. Put that out there. I don't want to. Geez, you okay? Um, I don't want to paint this perception that assaulting someone is right. I agree with Whitney. Whitney was in a group chat talking about this. Assaulting someone at your place of work is not right. Moving on from that, somebody on Twitter said this, and I thought that it actually made a lot of sense. He said, "Here was the reality of the footage is that if you liked Punk, this gave you more of a reason to like Punk. If
Yes.
you did not like CM Punk, this gave you more of a reason to dislike CM Punk. If you liked AEW, this gave you more of a reason to like AEW. If you did not like AEW, this gave you more of a reason to not like AEW. It's all about confirmation bias, right? Everybody's perception of this is rooted in their pre-existing notion and idea of what AEW is and who Tony Khan is as a leader. So I'm not here to debate or to talk about the ethical substance of CM Punk or how he conducts himself in the workplace, right? I don't think that that is a fair thing to do here, if for nothing else, for the simple fact that professional wrestling is different from corporate America. If you punch somebody in the back, if meaning in the backstage area, it's kind of a part of the culture of pro wrestling. This is not something that's exclusive to AEW. There have been backstage fights that have happened at WCW and WWE and TNA, Impact. So this is not something that is a AEW issue. This is a pro wrestling culture thing where we go out there, we do something, and you did something you wasn't supposed to do. When I see you in the back, I'm gonna get my receipt, or in public, I'm gonna get my receipt. You know what I'm saying? Um, with that being said, I'm approaching this from a strictly PR standpoint. This was arguably the dumbest thing that Tony Khan could have ever done. So let's start with this idea, right? oh, the airing of the footage was supposed to leak over, and it's about the storyline with Jack Perry and the Elite and FTR cut a promo. And stop it, because Dynamite likes to do this thing and AEW likes to do this thing where they tease next week's show the previous week. CM Punk's footage was not supposed to be aired according to what was announced on AEW Dynamite the previous week. So what does this mean? What happened in between that point in time and this point in time? I'll tell you what happened. The CM Punk interview with Ariel Helwani, where he aired out or talked about what happened in that situation, meaning he was asked a question and he responded accordingly. As a response to that response, Tony Khan decided to air the footage. This was not about the storyline. This was about a desire to clap back at Punk and to create the narrative that he was problematic, that he was narcissistic, that he was violent, and that he was a locker room cancer. That was the point. That is what you tried to do. And you tried to justify it by attaching it to a storyline. But the storyline was just collateral damage. And let me put this also into perspective. Jack Perry is currently on an indefinite suspension. He's supposed to be coming back to AEW. He's heel. He's been in New Japan building up this tough heel persona. CM Punk is in WWE. As of right now, neither of them have actively been featured on AEW television for at least 6 months. Also, the person that is tied to your company has been building up a heel persona that has been rooted in being rough, in being tough. If he is a heel, if he is a rough and tough character, okay, I understand that. But how are we supposed to take him seriously as a rough and tough character if the last time we saw him on camera, bro got a 3-piece and a biscuit right to his mata? What are you telling me? And then, so that deals with the storyline aspect, right? Then we go into the airing of there was a countdown because you wanted people to know that something was about to happen. This was not by accident. This is not by coincidence. And you even said that this was about creating compelling programming for Dynamite. And this was about the build towards Dynasty. Number one, nobody's still talking about Dynasty. So there's that. Number two, if this was about AEW Dynamite and creating compelling programming, you know what I noticed about AEW? They like to put up full segments. They like to put up full segments of what happened on their show on their YouTube, sometimes full matches. So if we were in the mode of creating compelling television, that means that we'll be able to watch this segment over and over again, right? Oh, we can't, because you took it down. Not only did you take it down, everybody who has reposted that video, you've given them a copyright strike so that the video can no longer be viewed online. So nobody's talking about Dynasty. The video isn't even viewable online for the fans. And by the way, we know that this is something that you want to do because anytime there's been a compelling AEW moment, it's been posted. It's been posted on YouTube, right? We can go to the MJF CM Punk feud. We can go to the the CM Punk MJF feud. We can talk about the Adam Cole full segment when he turned heel. All of these things have been posted at length on YouTube. So we're moving on from Dynasty. We're moving on from Dynamite. We're moving on from building up the character of Jack Perry. And now we're just getting into the what I feel like is the reality of it. You just spent and actually let me backtrack a little bit, because earlier in the show we saw Will Ospreay take a shot at Triple H. You're only in the position that you're in because you were grinding on the boss's daughter. Oh man, I feel like Scott Steiner said something like that in '02. Like, this is what we're doing. And granted, I think that AEW is great for professional wrestling. I think that the competition, I feel like AEW is the reason why we got the WrestleMania that we got this year. But let's not get it confused. This was arguably the worst thing that you could have possibly ever done because there's no audio on the video, so it doesn't give context the way that you wanted to give context. And then to make matters worse, CM Punk looked like he flinched at you and then he was pulled back and you were scared for your life. All you did was just tell cats, hey, I've never been in a fight before. Because that was light work.
There are no hands, Tony.
All
It
in
felt like
all,
it was free PR for WWE. That's what I got out of that.
and that, but I think the bigger thing is this. There has been a pattern over the past year and a half that WWE would take shots at AEW. And every time AEW responded in one way or another. A lot of times those responses were quality responses, but the ones that were bad were really bad. And this is another one of those responses. The reality is that if people keep poking with you is because they know that they can play with you, Tony.
Yeah.
They're poking at you and they keep taking shots at you and they keep bothering you because they know ultimately you're going to make a decision that's going to tamper with the credibility of your program. Now, Wrestling Observer is saying that the backstage morale is down. We saw Tony Schiavone's face after they aired the footage. This is the same man who was at WCW Bash of the Beach with the finger poke of doom. The same face. And that was arguably the end of that company. Now, I'm not going to be extreme and say this is the end of AEW, but if Bro was there for one body and he made one face and he made the same face for a different incident 20 plus years later, that's another body. But I'm gonna wrap this all up by saying this. Tony, my brother in Christ, you down bad right now. You have a great relationship with Warner. You have amazing talent on your like you just got Kazuchika Okada, Mercedes Monet, like Mariah, like all these amazing talents.
I would
Why
feel
are
so
you giving CM
embarrassed.
Punk the time of day? You have now put all these talents in a position where they are now attached to a product that has lost credibility because you didn't know how to control yourself.
It's so
Because
disrespectful.
it's so disrespectful. It's so disrespectful. You literally could have used that time for other wrestlers, for other entertainers to continue to build their stories, and you wasted it on a guy who wasn't even medically cleared to compete at your rival's event. Bro didn't even wrestle a match at Mania, and you spent time trying to take him down.
Yeah.
You down bad, bro. I'm not gonna get super deep into it, but thank you. We're gonna move on because I don't want to go crazy.
See, I
But
was enjoying it.
but coming off the heels of that, after we just kind of experienced one of, I think, a great weekend because WrestleMania by Forbes and by Triple H was hailed as the greatest WrestleMania of all time, greatest WrestleMania ever. Talking about WrestleMania 40, there were over 145,298 attendees over 2 nights. Viewership rose 41% across both nights, not only becoming the second highest viewed event in Peacock ever, but the highest viewed entertainment event in Peacock's history. Merchandise sales were up by 20% versus WrestleMania 39, and Cody Rhodes also broke a merchandise selling record, grossing over $1 million in sales. So I want to know, number one, your thoughts about WrestleMania 40 weekend. Uh, thoughts, impressions, favorite moments, and was this the greatest WrestleMania of all time?
Honestly, I thought a few people were crazy at first for saying it, but I I kind of have to agree. The show was perfect, top to bottom, left to right. It was a fun show. The bookings was great. There was amazing surprises. Um, I love that they had Snoop Dogg hosting it. I love the fact they had Lil Wayne there. They had Meek there. It felt very unapologetically black for
Yeah.
me, which was fun. But all the matches were quality matches with the proper booking. If I had to go for what was my favorite match of the entire night, I mean, it's a tie for both of the main events. I mean, you guys know by now I fucking love Cody Rhodes. I had to just watch the matches that I missed today, and I was blown out of the water at how good that tag team match was. Like that main event was so freaking good. Like it was just as extra as it needed to be. Just as exactly as extra. From The Rock's entrance, having the final boss and taking like 7 minutes of my time, just being full on fledged of a douchebag
Yeah.
throughout the whole match, him laying down the law and letting you know that he's the board of directors so he could fire referees and change the rules on spot, and having that advantage throughout the whole entire match, and so that it still protected everyone there. You know, cause we knew who was gonna win,
Yeah.
but you still gotta make it realistic,
Yeah.
and it doesn't get more realistic than because we all know that The Rock has pull, and he literally just used that. He used it in the match and said, "Yo, if you count me out, you're fired." I'm like, I don't think you realize this, but I actually run shit around here. Like, you see that belt that I'm carrying? That just, it's not a prop, nigga.
Right.
Like, you could be gone just like that. And it played a huge role in how Cody lost, and it made Cody still look strong. He looked like the biggest baby face since John Cena, bro. Like
Yeah.
and so that when he won the next night, I was crying. I was shaking and crying. And I haven't felt that emotional and passionate about a match since I guess like Bianca and and Sasha, for me at least. So this the way everything flowed and connected, it was just it was just mind-boggling. It makes me wish I watched it in real time and I didn't end up missing that match, but it was so good. The show was just so good. Like again, and there were still some surprises too. I think for night one, what was the surprise? Was it night one or night two that had the surprise? With Damian Priest? No. Yeah, it was with
Night
Damian
two.
Priest.
That was
Night
a
two.
surprise. Yeah.
Yeah, that was probably our biggest surprise of the night. 'Cause I think for the most part, like all our predictions were pretty much on point.
Yeah.
We didn't miss anything, but that was a really big surprise. It was funny too, by the way, between like Drew McIntyre still playing up his role both online and in his match, and then him losing his belt, Damian Priest getting it. Um, History was made. We got to see debuts. I mean, you finally got to see Jay Cargill freaking wrestle. They did exactly the formula that I think that they were going to do anyways, which is have Bianca and Naomi carry the match and then have her do just enough. But
Mm.
she looked it fucking great. Everyone looked fucking great. That entrance was fucking phenomenal, by the way.
It was
The three
phenomenal.
of them on the platform just it was like three Beyoncés for me. There's three Beyoncés and they look so good together. I still don't know what's their tag team name, but yo, they looked so fucking good together. Jade looked like they all like their own superstars. They all look their own superstars. But the match was great. The Usos match, that one pulled on my heartstrings a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, a little bit more than I expected. Like I knew, like all right, it's brother versus brother, but like the way they played out that match, bro, the in-ring psychology they used for that match, it got me a few times. There's a few points where I'm like, yo, they might actually just throw it to Jimmy just to throw it to Jimmy.
Just a pause.
Just because what he said
I said
pause.
throat. I said pause. Pause.
I can't with you. No, but it was like they set up the matches to where yes, like you kind of knew who was going to win, but as it was playing out, it looked like there was a few swerves going. This the in-ring psychology was on point. The video packages were on point. The commentary was most definitely on point. I had to
Absolutely.
mention that. I give credit to everybody that was on commentary for night one main event, just because it had me cackling at the idea that everyone was watching what they were saying because they know that The Rock is on the board.
Right.
They weren't
Literally.
trying to lose their
They
job.
was not trying to lose their job.
Right.
They was
So
not trying to lose their job.
the whole bickering between Pat McAfee and Michael Cole had me dying throughout the whole entire match. It was just fun. I just want to say it was super duper fun, and that's what WrestleMania is supposed to feel like. It's so freaking good. As a matter of fact, my people that aren't even wrestling fans, I'm recommending the match to them. I'm like setting over the stuff, and they're actually hyped for it. They're trying to play off, oh, it's not that good. Oh, all they do is cater to Samoans. Oh, who wants to watch The Rock in 2024? But I got them watching it. I got them caring. It's casual to talk about this. It's casual to talk about pro wrestling. Hell, for crying out loud, my dad was asking me what happened.
Right.
He's been like a 20, 30-year long wrestling fan, and even he was hyped to know what happened for night one and night two. And let me, speaking of night two, bro, can we just talk about like I thought a couple years ago when we had the pandemic WrestleMania and we had the Firefly Funhouse that felt like it was a stream strip for me. But the amount of like surprises that happened on night two main event, I was not expecting that ending. All right, that was a lot. It was so chaotic in all of the best ways.
Oh my god.
Like it felt as if someone was playing a game and they hit the pause settings and the switch character option and they just kept like, yo, just throwing out legends out of nowhere. And it just got more over the top. Like I knew The Rock was gonna show up at some point, but he just poofed and left. Seth Rollins poofed and with the Shield outfit and left. We had John Cena ball spot come out. I'm like, what are you doing here? And then, bro, we got Taker. Like this man just be picking up side quests.
Literally.
Ever since he retired, just random side quests. He don't even care to put on the full uniform. That man showed up with a beanie cap and a sweater.
He said y'all gonna get whatever I come in, and that's it.
Right. It was so chaotic. And I know people don't like the ending because they're just like, well, he didn't legitimately win. He had to get help from a bunch of, old timers. Like, what does that say about him? Dude, no, it was just fun.
Right.
It was just as fun. It was unpredictable. It was silly. It was great. It was phenomenal. I loved the show. For me, night one was still better than night two. But the
That's
show
interesting.
itself, really? Well,
That's
for me,
interesting. But keep going. Keep going.
no, night one for me was really over the top. For me, if I was paying attention to actual for real wrestling, yeah, I guess night one. Although night two was pretty good, it was definitely neck and neck. But if I'm thinking about like how the show closed out, I'm gonna have to go with night one because if it weren't for night one, night two with Cody's winning would not have pulled on my heartstrings as much. I was so frustrated.
That's very
I
true.
was emotionally frustrated, even though I watched it backwards. Still watching night one made me like want to rewatch night two, and I'm still gonna do that after we're done recording. I'm gonna rewatch night two because I was already emotional just because I was pissed off last year, bro. But the fact that Cody lost the way that he lost because of The Rock being on some bullshit only made it that when Cody wins, like you just like, yo, it just felt like, yo, finally, finally. It's like that one boss you can't beat in a video game and you've been trying and you're sweating and you're smashing buttons. Your buttons are stuck in your controller. You're about to break your freaking controller and you finally get it. It felt so savoring. I was so proud that he is our champion.
Mm.
It was one hell of a WrestleMania. It was one hell of a moment. I had to give it 10 out of 10. I'm going to go say it was a perfect show. And to my own memory, don't kill me for it, but yeah, I do think it was probably the best WrestleMania ever. Yeah.
All right. So, I'm going to get my mic up again.
Oh, God.
I'm going to start with the end, which is the press conference, because I watched the Mania press conference. And Triple H said something that was super valuable and super profound. He said that we build stories and we sell emotion. And when you look at WrestleMania 40, it's the perfect personification of that. They built stories and they sold emotions. And then on top of that, we saw just obviously like Rock and Roman do their thing. So I'm gonna just do like my little takeaways from this entire event. I do believe that I've been a wrestling fan since 2003, 2004. It's been the best WrestleMania that I've ever experienced as a wrestling fan. Mind you, I've been to 3 WrestleManias. I've been to 39, I went to 35, I also went to 34. Best WrestleMania I've ever not experience wise, because like being there is a whole different monster, but from a show perspective, it was the best WrestleMania to date. Everything flowed, everything made sense. It didn't feel too long or drawn out. There were so many matches that accentuated so many key points that WWE is trying to really reinforce right now. One of those things, in my opinion, is that Rhea Ripley is arguably the face of the women's division right now. I think that Rhea is on top. I think that Rhea is the girl. Her and Bianca are the girls. And I feel like we are just slowly building to a Rhea Bianca Mania match. I don't know when it's going to happen, but with Rhea beating all the four horsewomen, with Bianca taking down everyone that she's taken down, I think that they are building towards that match somewhere in the future. Um, as it pertains to the Jimmy and Jay match, I actually thought it was a little underwhelming. However, I accepted it because I felt like this is not the end of their story. I think we're going to see them at Backlash. I think we're also going to see them in a rubber match at SummerSlam, and I believe that those two matches are going to blow the roof off. But I felt like they were saving things for those matches. So there's that. Um, with the by the way, according to the internet, the team of Jade Cargill, Naomi, and Bianca Belair is now known as the Cocoa Butter Combat Club. So the Cocoa Butter Combat Club,
The what?
the Cocoa Butter Combat Club. That is the name for Jade, Bianca, and Naomi. The Cocoa Butter Combat Club. So the Cocoa Butter Combat Club versus Damage Control, I think, was everything that we expected it to be. I was just really, really happy that Jade had that dominant of a performance. Um, and there were just little details that we saw that showed what WWE wanted to portray of Jade, and that is that she's dominant. When she came in the ring, it felt like the world stopped because Dakota stopped. I forgot who else was in the ring, but they stopped, and they were just like, "Oh, Jade is being built up." Similar to how she was being built up in AEW, but I just feel like it's just on different platforms and different stages because WWE has bigger platforms and bigger stages. Um, as it pertains to the Roman and Rock tag match, fantastic main event. I didn't expect it to be that good. And the fact that The Rock came out with the People's Championship belt that was awarded to him at the Hall of Fame by the widow of Muhammad Ali, I can see that being a permanent fixture of his character to the point where he's always holding the belt because he's always the people's champion. And I think that his approach to creating this character was so unique because it felt like he had the best of everything all in one. That Hollywood rock persona, kind of coupled with the reality that he is on the TKO board of directors, coupled with the fact that he is considered the people's champion, the most electrifying man in all of entertainment. I feel like all of that kind of came into a nice little hodgepodge in creating what we now know as the final boss. I believe that that tag match was so spectacular, and I think it was a great setup for night two. Going into night two, I felt like a lot of the stories saw a lot of payoff. Um, oh, before I get into night two, Sammy versus Gunter, fantastic, fantastic match, fantastic way for Gunter to lose the belt. And if you notice, Sammy, um, there was a couple things. Sammy obviously ran into KO on his way out, right? Who was his tag team partner last year, Mania 39, kind of creating that full circle. And then Sammy pulled out a move that I don't think he used since Ring of Honor with the Brainbuster on the
Oh yeah, that
turnbuckle.
shit was fire.
And
So
it's like
dangerous and fire at the
so
same time.
dangerous and fire. But I felt like it was also great because it was in line with something that Hunter said about using blood in a match. He was saying, I when I watch movies, I prefer a really dramatic movie with one gunshot at the end than just shootouts happening all the time. It's like it has to make sense. And
AW.
I feel like stuff like that has to make sense. Like a brain buster like that has to make sense. You all right, gang?
Yeah. Go
Um,
ahead.
a brain buster like that on a top turnbuckle, it has to make sense. And it made sense in that moment, and that's what made it special. So
How
I
else do you
was
take someone that big down?
right,
It
literally.
was legitimate. Like
It
it was
was
so
legit.
legit.
It felt like, okay, this could actually happen in real life to an extent.
Right.
But then moving on to night two, brilliant storytelling across the board. Starting from match one, right? Drew and Seth being fatigued and injured from the night before for losing his match with Rock and Roman. He comes into night two. He opens up the show. First of all, both of his outfits were fire from both nights. Then he has his match with Seth. Has his match with Drew. Drew picks him apart as predicted, right? Drew has his moment. Drew goes after Punk, and because he was so consumed with CM Punk, he ends up getting attacked. Drew cashes in on him. And it was so funny because I think Punk said it like, yo, you're so obsessed with me. You need to be focused on what's in front of you. And lo and behold, Drew was so consumed with CM Punk that he took his eye off the ball. And because of that, he lost the world title. And I thought that that was a brilliant full circle moment and a great way to kind of segue into uh, 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 an inevitable feud between Punk and Drew once Punk is fully healed. So going from that, we have a solid card throughout the show. Pride and the Final Testament was a really, really good match. I'm glad that there was a Philadelphia street fight. I'm glad that Snoop Dogg was on commentary. I'm glad that Bubba Ray was a special guest referee. Once again, all of these things made sense. All of them made sense. And the Pride picked up the win. Shout outs to BFAB for being involved in WrestleMania in that way. So happy for her. Um, but I'm just gonna skip to the main event because there was such masterful storytelling in that. Because obviously we had that hodgepodge of legends come out, but the thing that was the most eye popping to me was Seth coming out in the Shield uniform and taking the chair shot, taking the chair shot, which led to Cody's win, because it goes back to a promo that he did a couple months ago, and he told Cody, "There's only one man equipped to be your shield." And that came to fruition that night. He came out in the Shield uniform, and Roman was so consumed. Roman never got over Seth breaking up the Shield. And because of that, Roman took his eye off the ball and chose revenge over Seth, over standing on business with Cody, which allowed Cody to win. So not only do you have 10 plus years of storytelling coming to an end, you also have things that were referenced 2 months ago that are being seen to fruition. We have things that are happening like weeks and months ago that are coming to, and it's all making sense now. And then
I
we
see
see the
that.
legends as Roman is going up the ramp. People that he's beaten are running past him to go see Cody, Randy Orton, John Cena. Like there's a bunch. And down to the last second, there was a story being told, which kind of goes back to something that Roman Reigns was talking about in a WrestleMania press conference. He said, when we started this in 2020, we wanted to take advantage of the silence and we wanted to paint a picture and tell a story. And we had to let people know, hey, there's new information coming. Hey, there's layers coming and you have to pay attention. And it felt like in this very moment, WWE rewarded the fans who were there from 2020, who were there from 2014. And it was just so gratifying and satisfying. On that note, I do think that WrestleMania 40 not only was the greatest WrestleMania of all time, it was the greatest WrestleMania weekend of all time. It was the highest attendance NXT event during WrestleMania weekend ever, highest attended ever. Um, we had a Hall of Fame class that was headlined by the greatest disruptor in the history of pro wrestling, aka Paul Heyman. You had a Monday after Raw, a Raw after WrestleMania that had actual surprises with Ilya Dragunov and Roxanne Perez and announcing the WWE draft. So, if all things considered, from a sales standpoint, from a record standpoint, from a sponsorship and advertising standpoint, listen, WWE was getting a bag this year because every match was sponsored by a different company. Wingstop was sponsoring this match, and the vodka company was sponsoring this match. Like they had a bag coming. And then on top of that, I think this is the largest kind of platform that we saw the prime branding on the WWE mat. So from every metric and every standpoint, this was the greatest WrestleMania. And the fact that it was Triple H's first WrestleMania, with him being the head of creative, without any Vince McMahon involvement. We saw Hunter open up one show. We saw Stephanie open up the next night. We saw pictures with Linda McMahon with certain people backstage. We heard the use of the word professional wrestling at the end of the show. This was definitely the middle finger to Vince. This was definitely the FU to Vince, this is a new era type of situation. But I think it was the greatest WrestleMania of all time. But if y'all agree or disagree, let us know in the comments below. But we are gonna move on. So obviously, on the heels of that WrestleMania, we see Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins are apparently taking some time off post WrestleMania. Good decision, bad decision.
Perfect decision. Roman had that belt for over 1,000 days. And whether he was wrestling or not every single week, that is very taxing. Traveling, all the promos he has to do, recordings he has to do, appearances in other locations. There's a lot of extra work that comes with being the champion.
Hmm.
Um, that I think he deserves that break. So it's nice that they gave this belt to Cody. I don't know how long he's gonna hold on to the belt, but I do think that Roman needs a break. I don't think it means he's gonna leave the company at all. Same way Bianca was being worked to the bone and she took a break. She came back super refreshed. Charlotte had to do that. I know she's injured, but Charlotte went ahead and went away and had her little thing. I feel like they are all entitled to. They all should be entitled to if like they've really been doing a good job holding down the company, making the company look great. Roman left everything in such a, I guess, a copacetic way where it's just like he could leave and the company's going to be just fine. And when he comes back, something's going to be cooking, something's going to be brewing. I'm pretty sure they already got the storyline written out for him. So I don't see anything bad happening. Seth Rollins, he's such a staple to this company. Oh my God. He has to be the biggest workhorse this company has ever had because he's been part of damn near every pay per view. He puts on classics no matter what role he has, champion or not. Seth's matches and Seth's roles are always important. He's like the glue to like everyone's story or them becoming a
Yeah.
better version of themselves. So it's gonna be upsetting to see him take a break because like I love Seth. I love seeing his over the top outfits, his character work, his matches. I mean, he's part of the reason why WrestleMania came out so freaking perfect. He literally was part of both the main events, and
Yeah.
you just elaborated to the fans just now on how important his role was on closing the ends of Cody's story. So I know it sucks, but I think he also is entitled to it. Him and Rebecca.
Yeah.
Cause Jesus Christ, like I'd never seen such a hard working married couple. Like they have a kid. Like who's watching Rue?
Right.
Who's watching Rue, bro? Cause her parents be working. They be making appearances, recording things. Becky has a book. She wore her book. Like, bro, like they're every like who is watching Rue? I digress. Wrestling's in good hands, and I think that it's a great move that they're giving their hardest workers time off. They need to like reset, recoup, and just live. No one needs to be overworking. I don't care what your job is in life. Like people are entitled to have a reset.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think it's well deserved for both of them. Like we said, Roman Reigns has had the longest WWE championship reign of the modern era by far. He is now main evented more WrestleManias than Hulk Hogan. Thank the Lord. Um, and he deserves a break. I know that his situation as far as his health is a little bit unique compared to everyone else's. But in addition to that, this man has given us he has ushered in a renaissance to WWE through the Bloodline storyline. He has created stars. He deserves a break. And he has been carrying this company. And to be honest, I feel like for this next chapter and next phase of Roman Reigns, he's going to need all the rest. So I'm here for it. And I also feel like the WWE roster is so stacked and has so much star power now that I feel like they won't slack off the way that it used to be. Now, as per Seth Rollins is, my opinion, he's the best in the world. He is the glue of WWE. He is the workhorse. To me, he was the most important champion during his reign. He was the most important champion in WWE because he held the championship that afforded so many opportunities for other wrestlers to step up and be main eventers. Um, and I feel like he deserves a rest as well. I feel like he deserves time. Him and Becky deserve time to spend time together, spend time with their child, and just to overall just kick it, man. Like they've been busting their behinds for God knows how long, and it's just really really good to see that WWE is just like, hey, take care of yourself. Like we got it from here. So I think that it's well deserved, and I think that they do deserve a rest. But I want to know what everybody else thinks. Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins are slated to take some time off post WrestleMania. If this is a good or bad decision, let us know. But we're going to be moving on to the last topic of the show. This is something that's near and dear to me because I had the pleasure of working on it, but it seems as if, well, not working on the series. I helped with the trailer. Um, it seems that Apple TV Plus's Monster Factory, a reality show or a docu series that was talking about some students of the Monster Factory, a famed, notorious wrestling gym just outside of Philly in Jersey. They have been nominated for a sports Emmy.
Let's
Now,
fucking go.
now
Congrats. You're part of this trailer?
I helped with the trailer. I was excited. I'm excited about it. Won't get
When
into
we
won't
when
get
we
into
see it?
details because I got NDAs. But um, I'll send you the trailer. But it's been nominated for a sports Emmy. And considering this is a docu series on wrestling, it's not really affiliated with WWE or AEW. But just the fact that something like this is nominated for a sports Emmy, what do you think it means to the sport of pro wrestling, kind of going into this media first era?
I guess it kind of is consistent with our last few podcast recordings that wrestling is not only cool again, it's popular again, it's marketable again. Like that's pretty awesome. Cuz like you didn't really have to add that in. You didn't really have to merge the two, but you did, you
Right.
know? There's value in pro wrestling again. The fact that it's just, like it's enough to get an Emmy, that's fucking awesome. But what do you think?
Um, I like you said, wrestling is cool again. Like even, I mean, this may carry over from WrestleMania when we were talking about it, but I don't think I've ever seen this many people talk about wrestling. I was in a group chat with some of my friends, Rebecca and Sarah and Paul. Shout outs to them. But I was in a group chat with them, and Rebecca was just like, "Yo, this is the first time I watched wrestling in forever. Like the vibe is back." And I feel like wrestling over the past 4 years has gone through a very dark period, considering that the majority of their live tapings have had to happen without live fans, which drastically alters the product. Um, but I feel like they came out of the pandemic stronger than ever, and sports and media in general is more willing to invest in wrestling because it was the only thing or the only live sports entity that was consistently generating new content, even in the pandemic. And so we're kind of seeing this renaissance of pro wrestling. And I feel like the fact that they've been nominated for a sports Emmy is an indication of that. Also, the actual series is fantastic. I don't know if anybody's been able to watch it or anybody, you know, knows about that particular show or series, but it's a great show. And I think that because it's a great show, coupled with the fact that wrestling is kind of in this renaissance period, is the reason why we're reaping the benefits of that. But super happy for the Monster Factory, super happy for Apple TV Plus. And if you haven't watched it yet, be sure to watch the Monster Factory. But that that's about it pertaining to that. I don't really got to ask y'all about thoughts because it doesn't really matter. But that concludes our show
Doesn't matter.
for today. Thank you guys so much. We will be starting our new season soon. Shout out to Kev. We're about to do a whole little rebrand and stuff like that. We're really excited about some stuff coming up. But thank you guys so much, and we'll see y'all next week.